I will rob you again. So we walk the streets of Philly again, play basketball, hit the studio again. My brother, more than a friend, trying to hold it together, but I can't pretend. Hurts bad, your family, I'm praying for them. We were young soldiers, you are my warrior, I do it for you, cause you my brody. Something like Shaq, something like Kobe. Can't talk about him if you don't know him. Words can't explain. I don't understand. Keep playing it over and over again. My thoughts are leaking through this pen. This song in remembrance of him. E. Burns, I'ma continue to flame him. He left early, but I don't blame him. Just in better circumstances. I believe in second chances. On the real, this ain't cool. I wish this was April Fool's. I would gladly play that fool. My bro, he gone too soon. That's my dog, that's my G. I miss my bro, rest in peace. Praying to the Lord that you are free. In the hands of G.O.D. You're forever in our memory. We would never forget about E. That's my partner, we were a team. We had the same passions, had the same dreams.
Hello, we'd like to ask where the money's going. What do you guys think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
A bombshell viral video purports to have cracked open a crucial part of the alleged Somali aid scheme in Minnesota, as federal investigators say as much as $9 billion could have been stolen in fraudulent schemes within the state. The aftermath has since garnered intense backlash aimed at state leadership, with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz desperately defending himself against ever-growing allegations. Here's everything you need to know. On December 26th, YouTuber Nick Shirley shared a 42-minute video of himself and a Minnesotan named David traveling around Minneapolis and visiting multiple child care and learning sites allegedly owned by Somali immigrants and receiving millions in taxpayer dollars.
$1.604 million in fiscal year 2025. This place right here.
However, the pair discovered that many were either shuttered entirely with blacked out windows, despite signage indicating they were open, or were helmed by staff who refused to participate in the video.
Can I speak to a manager?
Most of the sites, which claimed to be licensed for dozens of children each, had no children inside whatsoever.
Can you tell us why there are no children? Have you ever seen children at this child care center?
I'm not sure, I don't know.
Doesn't know if she's ever seen a child here.
One infamous location called Quality Learning Center, which displays a misspelled sign reading Quality Leering Center, also features blacked out windows. The center is supposed to account for 99 children. However, a local resident of 8 years revealed he's never seen a child go in or out of the building.
Where are the children?
I don't see them. I've been here since 2017. I haven't seen anybody like that
Never
here.
seen a child here.
No.
Shirley even asked multiple sites if he would be able to have his child join, only to be denied at the door.
Can I get paperwork or anything to submit my son, little Joey, to come in here to daycare? Would my son, little Joey, have friends to play with here? No.
The mega viral video has since spread like wildfire on social media, garnering over 100 million views on X alone. On Fox News' The Big Weekend Show, Shirley joked that the alleged scheme was so obvious that a kindergartner could figure out there was fraud going on.
So there better be change because, like I said, we work way too hard to be paying taxes. We work way too hard to be not knowing where our money's going. And at the end of the day, the people in the government, they work for us. We don't work for them. And so it's their responsibility to hold these people accountable.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has since faced intense scrutiny over the alleged fraud. Republican Minnesota Representative Tom Emmer wrote on X, $4 million of hard-earned tax dollars going to an education center that can't even spell learning correctly. Care to explain this one, Tim Walz? While New York Representative Mike Lawler called for people to be arrested and prosecuted, as well as for Walz to be held accountable for the scandal. In a statement to Fox News, a spokesperson for Tim Walz said, "The governor has worked for years to crack down on fraud and asked the state legislature for more authority to take aggressive action. He has strengthened oversight, including launching investigations into these specific facilities, one of which was already closed." However, a resurfaced clip shows that Walz openly bragged about making it easier for people to get into the childcare business during the 2024 vice presidential debate.
As far as childcare on this, you have to take it at both the supply and the demand side. And we have to make it easier for folks to be able to get into that business and then to make sure that folks are able to pay for that. We were able to do it in Minnesota, and I'm still telling you this.
Walz's state of Minnesota has been plagued by several high-profile fraud scandals in recent years, the largest being the Feeding Our Future scheme, in which 78 scammers, many of whom are from Somalia, have been prosecuted in the COVID-era food relief program scam. The ploy, according to prosecutors, involved funneling money from state social services coffers, including at the Department of Human Services and Department of Education, to the nonprofit Feeding Our Future and other organizations to ostensibly feed school children. Instead, the plot used the funds to splurge on the lavish lifestyles of the nonprofit's workers. According to Minnesota education officials, Feeding Our Future and its affiliated groups submitted over $500 million in claims, while federal authorities estimate that the extent of the rampant fraud could total $9 billion. The DOJ has already convicted at least 57 fraudsters in the scheme. On Monday, December 29th, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem announced in an X post that DHS would be going, quote, door-to-door to suspected fraud sites in Minneapolis before vowing more coming.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Word of Truth. This is my first recording of the 2026 year. While everybody was out celebrating the new year and, you know, all the theatrics and getting preparated and all that stuff, you know, I was just basically focused on what I was going to bring up next and working on other projects and just getting geared up for this next year. It's just the New Year's is just another day. You know, the New Year's is another day to me. It's nothing spectacular. We all know, if you're into the gospel and you search the deep things of God, that you'll see that these holidays are traditions of old and have pagan, heathen practices and things of that nature. So we got a lot going on today. We're going to be talking about so much stuff, and hopefully we can get done in a reasonable time. I have a lot of projects. But let's talk about it. You just seen the video with the immigration scam in Minnesota. And we've talked about this in previous recordings about immigration. I said before that you have to abide by the rules of the land. I was talking to a guy from Guatemala. He lives actually next door to me. And he was talking to me, and he was talking about Mondoro and the situation with that, which I'm going to be talking about in a little bit. We might just tie that all in, right? So, yeah, he's happy, and, you know, a lot of people are happy that, you know, that this Mondoro guy has been captured, and people are trying to spin it so many different ways. Some people agree with it, some people don't agree with it, but this is my thing, and we're going to tackle back on that. But let's go back to, before we get off, let's go back to the Minnesota scam. So these Somalians that came over in Minnesota think that they have a prophecy that they're supposed to take over this land. They believe that Minnesota was the place that they were supposed to be in the coming future times. They said it was prophesied and this, that, and the third. Well, they're wrong. I don't see that in the scriptures where it says Minnesota is where the Somalians is going to be. I never seen that. I never heard of that before. But it's a shame that it has to come to this, that you have immigrants coming in, taking over our communities. What about a few years ago in Colorado, where you had gangs? I'm gonna put it on. When you had gangs taking over.
It's scenes coming out of a movie as the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua are seen breaking into apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado. This is according to our sister station in Denver. There you can see the group well armed and forcing an apartment door open and making their way in. This has raised concerns amongst residents and Colorado state law enforcement officials. The city of Aurora is issuing a statement today in the wake of national attention following the video's release.
The apartments in Colorado, that was over a year ago. It was happening then. Now you got Somalians, was it Venezuela gangs? Yeah, it was a Venezuela gangs, right? Then you got the Somalians taking over Minnesota. They don't look at us the same as black people, right? People in Africa don't look at us the same. So before you black people get excited about, dark colored people or it's taking over, let's just be mindful that we're not the same as them. That's number one. Number two, there are other black folk that does not like the situation in Minnesota that these Somalians are there. It's been reported that Somalians don't like black people. They turn their lip up and head up or turn the other way. Don't pay us no mind, right? And then the governor that's in
Look at me, I am the captain now!
She held events at one of the restaurants that was named in the fraud case and had a former staffer who was convicted in the fraud investigation. So a lot of people are saying, wow, there's a lot of potential links here. How much did she know about that?
Why do you think this fraud was allowed to get so widespread?
This also has an impact on Somalis because we are also taxpayers in Minnesota.
Somalians contribute less than $900 a person to local and state taxes combined. I'm sure you understand that is incredibly low. That's actually lower than I thought it would be.
Now the investigators have come back. They've got convictions on $2 billion in stolen stuff through 3 scams. Now it's up to $8 billion they've discovered just since they really started focusing on it last week.
But when you come to this country, you got to learn which side of the road to drive on. You got to learn to stop at stop signs, and you got to learn not to defraud the American people.
It's not just the Somali diaspora that has come over here and decided to engage in this criminal behavior. It's an industrial complex with the Democratic Party that enables and turns a blind eye to this behavior because they benefit from it through political support.
A lot of Somalis in my district feel like there's not enough community resources, there's not enough available for them because they're working class folks and came here refugee status and fighting poverty.
There's a reason Minnesota ranks as the top, lowest childhood poverty, best place for children to live. People are taking advantage of that, they're going to prison. That is totally disconnected with demonizing an entire group of people who came here fleeing civil war and created a vibrant community that makes Minnesota and this country better. But that's Donald Trump. Deflect, demonize, come up with no solutions. He's not going to help fix anything on fraud. My God, there's a big difference between fraud and corruption is something he knows about.
Billions of it sent back to terror groups.
Hey! Look at me. Sure. Look at me. Sure. I'm the captain now.
You've got 23 child care or daycare centers either closed or under investigation. The fraud may go as high as $100 million. Now think about that. In fiscal year 2018, Minnesota received $120 million in federal funding The state contributed about $50 million in matching and maintenance funds, and we may have a fraud case of nearly $100 million in this state, with money then being transferred out of the country via MSP Airport.
Their children didn't exist. So you mentioned the spreadsheets where they just used a random name generator to make up names of non-existent children to show to the state, we really are feeding all these kids, but the kids didn't exist, the food didn't exist.
The vast majority of those, what is it, over 90%, come from one province that is a special tribe and a mafia. And it's all run by a mafia system.
And you know, a 6-word text from Bach to one of her staff members might have been the most stunning. She wrote, "We may have become the mob." Both Bach and Saeed are charged with wire fraud and bribery connected to a federal pandemic relief program. Prosecutors say nearly $250 million went through Feeding Our Future to sites that falsely claim to serve thousands of meals a day.
So a Somali-American politician here in Maine, Abdullahi Ali, has placed a murder bounty on a journalist for reporting a fraud scandal for millions of dollars involving MaineCare.
If you beef one Somali, you beef every Somali. If there's one thing about Somalis, they are going to ride out for their Somali brothers and sisters. They are going to crash out.
70% of the people coming in the U.S., period, globally, the H-1B visas are from one province, and it's its own mafia that doesn't work with any of the other Indians. That's why once they got control 30 years ago, and they greased Congress's skids, they don't let anybody in but their group. You're letting one clan in.
3 centuries ago, our mothers and fathers followed a promise across the ocean. Somali hands opening a new map, Somali hearts reading the sky. Here they found a land of rivers and stars. They named it the way the wind whispered, Minnesota.
Minnesota was promised to us Somalis 3,000 years ago. And if you disagree, you're an anti-Kushite bigot.
So the average American, whether they're black or white or whatever, isn't really involved in politics, doesn't donate money, doesn't get engaged. They do. And they're a major game changer. And the average Muslim has 6 kids. The average person in the West, like 1.5. 2 adults, 1.5 kids on average. And they say, I'm having a bunch of kids, putting them all on welfare because I'm taking over.
Minnesota. Allegedly, this lady is out of pocket. And let's see. I should have had this going up. Hold on. Give me a second. Pulling something up. Her name is Ayan Omar, Ayan Omar, whatever. So look, here's the situation. The Democratic candidate for a safe seat in the U.S. House of Representatives stands accused of immigration, marriage fraud, and bigamy. The district is in Minnesota. More previously, the Somalian-born, now naturalized Ayan Omar is accused of marrying her own brother while being married to another, as well as misuse of campaign funds to probably unrelated matters. The parent cost some, I can't say that. She's 36 and said to have used $3,000 in campaign funds for personal travel, including a trip to Estonia, if I'm saying that right. The somewhat jumbled AP account of these events fails to explain why she went to the little country, which seems to be distant from either her background or her political ambitions. Omar admits the marriage, more or less her second, to Ahmed Norsad Elmi, and says that he is not her brother, but refuses to release any documents or specific information to support her story. Omar's political skills, no matter to whom she is or was married, are remarkable. She unseated this senior member of Minnesota legislature in Democratic primary 2 years ago, and is being a strong Democratic district. She was unopposed in the fall of 2016. She is the first Somalian elected to that body and will be the first in the U.S. House of the U.S. if elected next month. Now, stop. She is accused of election fraud. There is no way that this lady. Anyway, sorry about that. I didn't know my battery ran out. Where I was at now. So we were talking about Omar. So I don't know how she's get elected to be a governor or to be a political leader without any background check. What is up with America and their background checks? They seem to figure out everybody else past, and people can go on the computer and figure you out and this, that, and the third. And when you have to get granted something by the government, you have to go through a process where you have to get checked, right? How did they just gloss over the fact if allegedly she is married to her brother? First of all, if she's married to another one, how is it she gets to marry two men? How? How is it possible that she gets to marry two men? So the Somalians took over Minnesota over daycares. They're reportedly getting paid for this. There is no children in these facilities. Where and how does this happen? Who? What? Like, how? How do you have immigrants that's not supposed to be over here? You push them over here. How they get benefits? How? Can somebody explain to me how? See my sweet shirt. I'm coming with the smoke. I'm coming with the smoke today. They claim in territory, right? How does this happen? And then you have a guy like this guy, I call him Mundummy. How is this guy elected anywhere?
Zoran Kwame Mamdani. Zoran Kwame Mamdani.
Let's see. Let's go back.
Zoran Kwame Mamdani. Zoran Kwame Mamdani.
How do you get this guy in office? How do a guy like this, if this is a Christian nation, as y'all like to say, how is it a guy like this get into office? How does a Muslim, if this is a Christian nation, how does a Muslim becomes?
I, Zoran Kwame Mamdani.
Mamdani.
Kwame Mamdani. Do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the State of New York. The Constitution of the State of New York. And the Charter of the City of New York. And the Charter of the City of New York. And that I will faithfully discharge. And that I will faithfully discharge. The duties of. The duties of. The office of. The office of. The Mayor of the City of New York. The Mayor of the City of New York. According to the best of my ability. According to the best of my ability. So help me God. So help me God. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Mamdani. And he's supposed to be an alleged rapper, former rapper. So now he's going to have the black. Bad enough, black people, most black people, a lot of black people are Muslim, especially in New York. That's going to be an issue. That's going to be a problem coming up soon if they don't get this together. Okay, so I don't want to see more of this. Okay, so his hand is on the Quran, may I add. Not the Holy Bible, not the scriptures. Not that I believe that the politicians that sworn in, they put their hand on the Bible is the correct Bible. It may be the NIV or so. It could be the King James. But even in that, it's still false and not genuine because it's a false religion. He got his hand on the Quran. I mean, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Let me see. Let me get this back up. And then, so now, we got that going on in New York, and you got the Minnesota thing. Now, let's go on to the Maduro situation. And this capture, to me, let's just break it down real quick. First of all, I don't believe that we should have done that, because now that put us in a certain light, the United States, like we're some type of power, like we're are able to do that in any country. I don't like that type of force. It's like kind of like what Christopher Columbus did to America. Right, he forced his way in, and what America is going to do now is try to do business or make Venezuela their allies. But if Venezuela wants to be allies with America, if the people in Venezuela want to be allies with America, then so be it. Hey, let it be. But the double-edged sword in this is that you're going to be put in a certain light. And I don't think a lot of other countries would approve, because now they're going to think, well, they did that to Mondami. Y'all already did it a few times before. Y'all took Saddam Hussein. Y'all took out Osama bin Laden. Y'all captured and killed other officials. America has been pretty busy when it comes to war. And I don't think this helps the situation. But if the Venezuelan people are happy with it, then what can I say about it? Nicolas Maduro Moras, 14 current and former Venezuelan officials charged with narco-terrorism, corruption, drug trafficking, and other criminal charges. The former president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro Moros, Venezuela's vice president for the economy, Venezuela minister of defense, and Venezuela's chief Supreme Court justice are among those charged in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Miami, along current and former Venezuela government officials, as well as two, I can't say these names, I'm not going to butcher them, and they got all these The Venezuelan regime, once led by Nicolas Maduro Moras, remains plagued by criminality and corruption, said Attorney General Barr. For more than 20 years, Maduro and former high-ranking colleagues allegedly conspired with the FARC, causing tons of cocaine to enter and devastate American communities. Today's announcement is focused on rooting out the extensive corruption within the Venezuelan government, a system constructed and controlled to enrich those at the highest levels of government. The United States still not allowed these corrupt Venezuelan officials to use the U.S. banking system to move their illicit proceeds from South America nor further their criminal schemes. Okay, so it's a lot going on over there in Venezuela. He's been captured. He's been charged. I think he's going to be released. And here's my thing on the releasement. To capture a guy and then release him, to me, says that he made a deal. Which I'm going to talk about on another platform. I have another platform. It's called Getbuck ENT, my record label or entertainment business or whatever you want to call it. I talk on other subjects on there because I don't like to mix the two, because I'll be going into other things that's not going to be scripturally based or informational based. This is the word of truth. So like I said, yeah, so he's been charged with a lot over the last, let me see. Today we announced criminal charges against Nicolas Maduro for running together with his top lieutenants a narco-terrorism partnership with FARC for the past 20 years, said U.S. Attorney Godfrey Berman. The scoop and magnitude of the drug trafficking alleged was made possible only because Maduro and others corrupted the institutions of Venezuela and provided political and military protection for the rampant narco-terrorism crimes described in our charges as alleged. Maduro and the other defendants expressly intend to flood the United States with cocaine in order to undermine the health and well-being of our nation. Maduro very deliberately deployed cocaine as a weapon, while Maduro and other cartel members held lofty titles in Venezuela's political and military leadership and conducted described in the indictment wasn't statecraft or service to the Venezuelan people as alleged. The defendants betrayed the Venezuelan people and corrupted Venezuelan institutions to line their pockets with drug money. Here's where the hypocrisy comes in. The hypocrisy comes in when you have the United States taking Venezuelan president because of drug trafficking and cocaine, which is a good thing, because me coming up, cocaine and crack was running crazy in the 80s. I am an 80s baby. I know very well about crack in the 80s. Excuse me. My mom was into that stuff. Thank God that she got off of it. And so many others that I was around at that time, at that age, in the 80s, when crack was running wild. We should be happy for that. That we should be happy for. I think cocaine, crack has destroyed many lives. And there are other drugs that they need to get off the streets that's killing people. I mean, literally killing people, like heroin and this fentanyl that's going on around. Where is that coming from? That may be coming from the United States, allegedly, right? But the United States has government overseas controlling the opium field. That's a drug. That's a hallucinant. How you have U.S. military overseas governing an opium field, but you go over Venezuela and take their drugs and their oil and those things. How does that happen? I'll give you a better one. How is it that America can find a person all the way across seas and capture somebody all the way across seas, but they cannot capture and put to jail those that supposedly done things on those islands? What about the Epstein list? What about the Diddy list? Epstein, Diddy, you have so many people on those lists that did horrible crimes, horrible things to people, trafficked people, trafficked children, molested children, had sexual relations with children and each other, and doing homosexual things. Holding a prostitution ring, Epstein and Diddy. You got Diddy, but Diddy ain't the only one that did these things. Where are all the arrests? See, let's get to that part. Where are all the arrests? You have all the time, all this time and strength to go capture Maduro, but you got people under your nose and you haven't captured, you captured one person, one major person. You mean to tell me Diddy is the only major person that's in this situation that's captured? I'm not taking up for Diddy, not taking up for Epstein. I'm looking at it from a different perspective. It's hypocrisy at its slickest. It's amazing. I'm going to show you what else is amazing. This guy, Jamal Bryant, Mr. Jamal Bryant, you are a disgrace. You are a disgrace. I gotta wipe my glasses, but never mind that. I might do this with my glasses off. Matter of fact, Mr. Jamal Bryant, you are a disgrace.
I wanted a wife I would rush home to, that I wanted to be excited to see. When we walked in there, I said, shake it fast, watch yourself. If you don't have nobody that you excited about, trade that booger in and find you somebody that Negroes can talk about. How did you bag that?
You're terrible. You're not a pastor.
But insecure, jealous, petty, small-minded, people got in their feelings and set up a false barometer of holiness based off of a dress.
No. You're not walking with Christ as the apostles and the disciples walk with Christ. The fact that you're prostituting your wife around is amazing. The fact that you are okay with you prostituting your wife is even more intriguing.
Don't care whether you like it or not. She ain't mad to y'all, she mad to me. Now, if you wanted a first lady that looked like Little House on the Prairie and Holly Hobbie, you got the wrong church. I wanted a wife I would rush home to, that I wanted to be excited to see. When we walked in there, I said, shake it fast, watch yourself.
It's intriguing because I want to know how much love you have for God and respect for God in this matter. Because don't the Bible say, don't prostitute thy daughter? Now, if you want to read it in this context, you can read it in this context. But the fact that it's using don't prostitute your daughter or thy daughter, it's the same as you prostituting your daughter, literal daughter, out there in the streets. Meaning, if your daughter is dressed a certain way that's inappropriate, and you're okay with it, and you're taking pictures with it, and you're going out with her and all that stuff, dressing like that, you're prostituting your daughter. In fact, you are an enabler of sin. Let's get to that part. So what Jamal Bryant is saying, hey, if I like putting my wife in this dress and like to show her off, it's okay.
But insecure, jealous, petty, small-minded, people got in their feelings and set up a false barometer of holiness based off of a dress.
Do not, in Leviticus 19, chapter 19, verse 29. See, this is what you needed to do, Pastor Bryant. You needed to get some scripture to explain how did you let and allow your wife to dress that way. Whereas in the scripture it says it's okay for a man to put on to dress his woman up as a prostitute, because that was a prostitute's dress in a high class level. It's no different from what Kim Kardashian wears, what Beyonce wears, what Rihanna wears, with any of these celebrities. They wear these see-through type of dresses, and what you're was doing, no, it wasn't a see-through dress, but it gave the illusion of a see-through dress. And your intent was to have people to have the illusion that was a see-through dress, and that in itself is a sin. That was in your heart. Your heart is dirty, sir. Very dirty. And the fact that all those people was agreeing with it, waving their hands and jumping up and down and yes, and y'all is the worst. I promise you, y'all people are the worst. Because y'all actually, instead of rebuking the dress, the doctrine, the sermon, because his doctrine is way off. Way off. Way off. You know, I can tell how a person is in sin or not in the right doctrine of the Lord. It manifests. You will actually see it. This is the manifestation of Jamal Bryant doctrine. And I didn't know he took over for Eddie Long. What are we talking about? It says in Leviticus 19, chapter 19, verse 29, do not prostitute thy daughter, cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom, and the land become full of wickedness. Full of wickedness. Full of wickedness. Matter of fact, let's read it in this context. You know how we like to do it. In verse 26 it says, ye shall not eat anything with blood, neither shall ye use enchantment nor observe times. Witchcraft. So what Jamal Bryant was doing, he was doing witchcraft. He was marketing and promoting his wife under prostitution. Marketing and promoting his wife in prostitution. She was dressed too loud. Even in that his response video, his preaching, she was still dressed too loud. A little bit better. Don't have the illusion of it, okay, but she's still loud. It says, be ye separate from the world. You're still dressing like a celebrity. All you pastors that's on stage dressing like celebrities with the $1,000 suits, with the $500 sneakers or $1,000 sneakers, and the $500 hoodies and the $500 pants. Yeah, y'all don't look separate from the world. Y'all look just like them. Just like them. Just like them. Ye shall not make any cuttings. Wait a minute. Go back. Ye shall not round the corners of your beards. Of your heads. Neither shalt thou mur the corners of thy beard. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead. Rest. I did it. I got rest in peace to my grandmom on my arm. I did it. I repent. I don't get no more tattoos. Why I don't get no more tattoos? Because the Bible says, ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord. I'm the Lord. I'm the Lord. That's what he said. He's the Lord, not me. He's the Lord. So I don't get no more tattoos because the Bible says ye shall not make any cuttings of your flesh nor make any marks upon you. And all you Christians, so-called Christians, y'all going to see the scripture and guess what you're going to do? You're going to go get another tattoo. That's bars. I ain't even mean for that to rhyme. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the land fall to whoredom and the land becomes full of wickedness. Ye shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Regard not that have familiar spirits, neither seek after wizards to be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. Thou shalt not rise up before the hoary head, and honor the face of the old man, and fear thy God. I am the Lord. So you have Jamal Bryant up there promoting witchcraft into the crowd. He is actually a wizard. A wizard. A wizard. I like The Wiz. The Wiz is one of my favorite movies. He is the wizard in The Wiz. And y'all are the followers of that yellow brick road. This is 316. I'm not going to say too much. But I just wanted to come and talk to y'all real quick. And I guess I'll be talking to y'all later. We out.